top story, America responds to a gunman's rampage that killed 8 people, including 6 women of Asian descent, with an inspiring message of, let's hear what the gunman has to say. President Biden had this to say.
I'm making no connection at this moment to the motivation of the killer. I'm waiting for an answer as the investigation proceeds from the FBI.
I'd ask Biden to seek even more caution here, mention more about the killer, show his picture everywhere, talk about everyone who has ever been mean to him, just really toe the line more. Well, before we continue, we have to acknowledge that here at the establishment, we may have contributed to the current climate with our special Threats from the East, Our Chinese Adversaries, and the Threats of China, and the 20 Ratings Gold follow-up reports. I see that now.
I'll admit, maybe it was a little reckless, but in my defense, I saw China more as a concept than a country with a huge population that my daughter's best friend is from.
That means it's time to pick a new national scapegoat for our nation's dwindling relevance.
The problem is, America has already blamed every race. Who's the new Jews? The Turks?
There's no one left to pin our failures on, and you know whose fault it is? The Irish!
The Chinese people absolutely don't deserve to be scapegoated for America's failings. On the other hand, China is a ruthless authoritarian regime that contributed mightily to the early spread of the coronavirus. It's possible that you strayed into racism and xenophobia, but a special about the threat from China is actually a reasonable thing to do, and you shouldn't be sorry for it.
You make a good point. We can't let reckoning with xenophobia blind us to the sinister, existential, shadowy foreign threat of China. Moving on, as debate over the situation at the southern border continues, Fox News host and professor of radiology at Sadman University, Tucker Carlson, has a dire warning. The country is turning into a big, loud party, and some of the people are definitely bad-mouthing you.
Every year, the United States gets steadily more jammed with people, and at the same time, more chaotic and less cohesive. As the open spaces shrink, as nature itself recedes in the face of yet another strip mall or apartment complex or fast food outlet to serve the new people. This is becoming a crowded country, and crowded countries are ugly, unhappy countries.
Tucker, of course, is not the first person to express this concern. One author wrote, "Only an adequately large space on this earth assures a nation of freedom of existence." That was from out-of-print classic Mein Kampf by Adolf Hitler. Question for the panel: has Tucker Carlson committed the ultimate crime against humanity? Plagiarism.
Look, this is probably just a case of parallel thinking or parallel subconscious desire to kill off millions of people you call inferior to soothe your aggrieved psyche.
I'd be super careful about parroting history's most big-time monster. The Hitler estate can get real litigious.
Ross, can't Tucker just talk about birth rates in a way that doesn't set off any white supremacy alarm bells?
I think it's totally fair to say, that you can't simultaneously argue that America has too few babies, and we do have too few babies, and also spend all your time being concerned about building too many strip malls and McDonald's around the country. I think he's kind of making the opposite argument from, Adolf Hitler, though, in the sense that the whole idea of living space was about going out and conquering large areas. And Tucker isn't, I think, advocating the conquest of Latin America.
Tucker is right about one thing. America does not have enough room. Just look at these thousands of uninhabited miles just stacked on top of each other.
With a surge of people crossing over America's southern border, Senators Cruz and Cornyn are heading down to deter migrants with the power of their pale, droopy faces. Here's Ted Cruz letting the bankrupt Texas energy companies know he's busy right now.
I'm leading a delegation to go down to the border. We're going next week. John Cornyn and I together have invited our colleagues.
They should just set up a studio down there instead of wasting taxpayer money hauling cameras back and forth.
If there's cameras set up, hey, we might as well film some TV shows. I've always wanted to watch a show about a cowboy.
We should really shoot in Toronto. Great tax breaks. I know 3 to 4 blocks downtown that look just like El Paso.
Question for you, Ross. Will people be able to tell the cowboy movie was filmed in Canada because the sky will be upside down? Not so chatty when we move away from Hitler trivia. Have we told everyone that we're actually filming this show from the southern border right now? Oh, Troy, you got a hawk on your head.
I am aware. This fucker's got tail ends like 6 white-hot wood screws going through my skull.
Well, time for some more quirky tales from our semi-militarized capital. We're talking Beltway gossip. Hey, listen to this. I ran into Anthony Fauci at Cafe Milano. He did so many TV hits that day that he spent 5 hours scrubbing 80 layers of television-grade foundation off his jaw.
And what a jaw it is.
I was in Georgetown this morning and saw Senator Ron Johnson crossing to the other side of the street when Cory Booker jogged past him. I was at Macy's and there was Dianne Feinstein defiantly insisting that she has no plans to resign to a loungewear mannequin.
Nor should she, sharp as a tack. And I saw Chuck Grassley loudly telling a marble pillar that he thinks Dianne Feinstein's brain isn't good no more and becoming agitated when the pillar didn't respond.
That pillar told me.
And that is your Beltway gossip. Ross, let's talk about your new book, Decadent Society, How We Became the Victims of Our Own Success. How does your book navigate the paradox of discussing a successful society that's clearly in the late stages of failure?
So the argument in the book is that you can be a society that's stuck and trapped and stagnant and have things just keep going as they are for kind of a long time. So the book does say that we're failing in all kinds of ways, and I think that's pretty apparent from just a browse of the headlines. But when you're sort of a rich, stable society, you can fail at kind of a high level for years, decades, maybe even generations.
Well, Goodreads.com calls it truly one of the year's most depraved and erotic fantasy novels, so congrats. And it's so great that you got the legendary Shannon Tweed to narrate the audiobook.